Thomas Chillowise, and today we're going to talk about the third shot drop. Okay, now I'm specifically named this the third shot drop, but the drop shot technically can happen multiple times during the game. It can become a fifth shot drop, seventh shot drop, eighth shot drop. It could be a reset shot. It could be a shot that once you get pushed off the line, you're trying to drop back into the no volley zone. And let's talk about why that's important. So when you're back inside the transition zone or you're back at the baseline, a lot of times you're hitting this shot from here into the no volley zone to force your opponents to let it bounce so you can start advancing towards your non-volley zone or your kitchen line. Whether you can do that in one shot and get there, or whether you need to do it in a few shots to make your way to the non-volley zone to neutralize and to take away the advantage that that team has, right? So let's talk about where this initially starts. It starts with the third shot drop. So this is a serve team, right? So this is going to be my serve team, and this is going to be my return team. So typically, the serve team is going to be the first opportunity to hit a drop shot. And their goal, so when this return player hits the return shot, their goal is to get to the line, right? So they hit the shot bounces. Now you look, this team has the advantage, this team has a disadvantage right here. So this team now has to work on getting to the no volley zone line. And one of the best ways to do that is hit a third shot that's a drop shot. So that's why I called it third shot drop, and work their way as a team to the non-volley zone. So this player here will work on hitting this drop shot into the non-volley zone, right, or the kitchen. And as they do, this team is going to work together, and then say they get this far, and then the ball comes back, and then this player again is going to work on hitting another drop shot, and this team will eventually make it all the way up. All right, so real quick story on this. When I heard about the third shot drop, and I've heard other players say this, when I first started learning the third shot drop, this is actually where my journey started to get to the 3.5 and then to the 4.0 skill level, was to learn to hit a third shot drop. I didn't have any problem hitting the ball hard, and every time I had a chance to hit the ball hard, I hit the ball hard. And sometimes I made it to the non-volley zone line, and sometimes I didn't make it. But I was winning a lot down, the 3.0, 3.25 level. And so one day I had this player come and get me and say, hey, we're going to teach you how to do the third shot drop. And so during this process, I also found a coach, if you will, that was going to teach me how to do it. And the very first thing he said to me was, Thomas, I'm going to teach you how to hit the third shot drop. And the thing you have to understand about the third shot drop is it's the hardest shot in pickleball. I struggled with this shot probably for 4 weeks before I actually started hitting I don't even say consistent, maybe 50% of the time, a third shot drop. And after assessing this later, I realized the reason why I was having such a hard time with this shot is because the person that was coaching me, the person that I was looking towards for guidance, told me this is the hardest shot in pickleball. And of course, I translated that to, this is a very hard shot. It's going to take me a long time. And of course, it took me longer than I think it should have to learn it, just because I was told and I believed that this was the third hardest shot in pickleball. So it is actually not the hardest shot in pickleball. It's actually fairly easy. It's just like with every other shot. When you start trying to dial it in, that's when it gets a little more challenging. But as far as being able to hit a third shot drop, it's not that hard. So let's talk about a few. So, the third shot drop is when we first are working towards hitting the drop. And then sometimes we get caught in the transition zone, so we're trying to hit a drop into the no volley zone so we can continue to make our way here, get pushed off the line. Now we're hitting a drop again, and we're making it back to the line, right? And sometimes we're here, and our player's up here, and we get attacked, and then we reset a ball into the no volley zone. We're dropping it back in. So there's multiple different ways to do that. So let's talk about some drills that we can do, right? So one of the drills that we can do is what we call the 2-in-1 drill. I'll just use these two players for now. It's called the 2-and-1 drill. So you're going to drop 2 shots and you're going to take 1 step back. Okay, so say this is the feeder, this is the dropper. This is a player is dropping the ball. So once they drop 1 ball and then they drop the second ball into the non-volley zone, they will take 1 step back. So now they take 1 step back, and then what they will do is they will drop. They take 1, so they were here, they take 1 step back, they're going to drop 2 balls again, and as soon as they do, they're going to take another step back, right? So they're going to be stepping back, they're going to work their way all the way to the baseline, right? And once they get there, then they're going to work their way back up. So they're going to work their way all the way back to the baseline, and then they're going to work their way all the way back up to the kitchen or the non-volley zone, right? So they're going to work back and then they're going to work forward and successfully drop 2. Do they have to be consecutive to start out with? No, just get 2 in. Does it matter if they're high? Does it matter if they bounce high? No. Right now, just get it in, okay? So as you start working and get the feel for what that is, let's start trying to dial that in some, okay? So there's a few things you can do in this drill to start working on. The very first thing we want to start working on is starting to get the ball lower over the net where it doesn't bounce as high. So one of the big things you can do is, I see a lot of players do this, like they might be low when they are at the net. A lot of players like to stand, but definitely when they get further away from the net, they like to stand up. So what I like to do is to have them stay down, right? So once you sit, your chest naturally drops, okay? That's what's going to keep the ball low. So if you can keep your chest down, the ball will stay down. When your chest pops up, the ball pops up, okay? So sitting back and staying down through the ball, right? So our momentum is going to be moving forward through the ball, so we're here, we drop, and then our momentum moves as we hit the ball, but it's going to keep the ball low and it's going to be able to keep the bounce low as well. Also, not gripping the paddle tight, keeping a loose grip, 4 or 5, maybe a 6 at the most, and then staying low to drop the ball in, right? Don't use as much wrist on this, okay? It should just be a push. Remember, your player that's hitting the ball to you already has pace on it. All you're doing is trying to successfully drop it back in, which requires less work from you, as long as you stay low and long as you push the ball to where you want it to be in the non-volley zone. All right. And then I would rather you miss long and high and dial it back than miss short, right? Because if you miss long, you're still playing, you still have a chance. If you miss into the net, it's over, you're done, right? So that's what we call a 2-in-1 drill. So drop 2, take 1 step back, drop 2, take 1 step back, right? And then start keeping it low, work on pushing the ball to where you want it, move it around a little bit, hit the left side of them, hit the right side of them, and then no volley zone. Okay, so that's one drill that we like to do when we first get started. I always have players start with that one, right? The next one is what we call, let's just do this one. So what we do is, this is going to be, again, the server. This will be the returner, and this will be for the server. So what I do is we'll put a cone here, and we'll put a cone here. And what happens is when this player serves the ball, or this player serves the ball here, this player, it's like skinny singles, this player will return it back here, and then this player will try and drop the ball on top of this cone if they are on this side of, right? They're going to try to drop to that cone. And say they hit that cone, that's going to be a point, so they would slide over, and this player would slide over, and then again, this player serves the ball, this player returns the ball back to them to this side, and then this player is working on dropping the ball to this cone, okay? And then you can keep points. Say this is like trying to get 10 in a row. So 10 shots. Each time they score, they'll move over and try to hit that one. And then once they score, they'll go over and hit that one and try to get 10 shots. So they'll get 10 serves, try to get 10 drops, and then they'll become the return player, and this becomes a serve player. And then we move the cones over to this side. Should have had those back, sorry. Should have been here. Now this player will serve, and this player now will start trying to drop. Now you're doing it opposite sides. So if you're on the left side, you're dropping it to the right side. And if you're on the right side, you're dropping it to the left side. Okay, again, game of 10. That way you can start working on game-like situation, right? Working on the third shot drop. The more you can focus on third shot drop drills, modified games, different type of things like that, the more success you're going to have transitioning this into your game. You know, if you go take one lesson or you go take a couple drills and then you try to move on, a lot of times it's not going to happen. It's got to be something that you work on repeatedly, and then it starts becoming part of your game, right? Especially if you're playing modified games and things, then it starts becoming what you start looking for in the game, right? So this is a really great drill to do right here, right? Out of the skinny singles situation, both sides can continue to switch as the serve team. Okay, so that is really quick on the third shot drop. Again, it's not that hard to hit a third shot drop, but it is important to have it as part of your arsenal, a part of what you do when you play the game, okay? That's what makes it important. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free, put them down below as far as things you want to know more about the third shot drop. If you want to see one of the videos that you want us to shoot for a pickleball strategy or something you'd like to see, please feel free to leave that in the comments as well. We'll be happy to add that to our list. And I think that's it for today. So thank you for joining us for Whiteboard Wednesday on the third shot drop. And we will see you next week on Whiteboard Wednesday.